Hey everyone, it's Call Me Adam. I am live in my closet and I'm very excited to be talking to Tony Award winning producer Ken Davenport today about the upcoming TheaterMakers Summit. So, without further ado, let me bring Ken on. So, don't go anywhere. Ken, hi.
Hello.
How are
Oh,
you?
we are just living the pandemic election dream right now. It's like things happen in threes. I'm waiting for the third thing. So it's
Yes.
a lot of tension, a lot of anxiety right now, but all good.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for joining me today.
Sure.
You are my very first Instagram live guest, so I'm
Oh,
very
amazing.
excited.
What an
Um,
honor.
it is. So let's get into it because the Theater Makers Summit is coming up November 14th through 16th,
Hmm.
and this is the fourth year that you are doing it. So before we get to this year's summit, let's just talk about how did you get it started initially 4 years ago?
So I got it started the same way I get most things started, which is just saying like, I wonder if I did this, if anyone would show up.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, whenever I have those instincts, I try not to think about them too much. I try not to go, oh, well, if I did that, what if this would happen and this happened and this happened, and think of all the negative things that could come along with it. Because frankly, if you did that, you just keep going on forever and never do anything. And just take a step and do it. And usually, what I've learned, I've had a blog now for over 10 years. What I've learned is this process of like just publishing, right? Just pushing it out there. And you know the same thing. It's what you're doing today with your first Instagram Live. You were like, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, I wonder if Ken would appear. Oh, I wonder if people will show up. I wonder if people watch. And instead of trying to come up with the answer of, oh, what if no one watches, or what if Ken doesn't answer my email, or whatever it is, you just do it and
Yeah.
see what happens. And what I have also found through my career is that the more you do it, you continue to do it, the bigger and bigger it gets and grows. So 4 years ago, we had an idea and we said, hey, I wonder if people will show up if I got some speakers to talk about the theater and how we make more of it and how we make it better. If
Mm-hmm.
people would show up, and I did, and we had about 100 and 125, 150 people show up for the very first one at Playwrights Horizons.
Uh-huh.
So, and we had a great time. And the speakers had fun and we had fun and we learned stuff, and people came to me saying like, I want to make more theater, which
Uh-huh.
to me is like music to my ears, right?
Yes.
I'm a big believer the world is a better place if there's more theater in it.
Yes.
So my job and my mission is to help people make more of it. So when people said, oh, I got my show up, I found about an opportunity, I met a director, I said, well, we got to do it again.
Hmm.
We did it again, and 200 people showed up. And then all of a sudden last year, we had like 400 to 500 people show up.
Wow.
And this year already, we've exceeded last year's, which is a very unique conference, of course, because it is entirely virtual.
Yes.
Uh, so in a way, no masks required at my conference because it's entirely virtual. It's not held in Florida or anything. It's just held online. Uh, so it's grown from there. And again, just by doing it again and again, we learn more. We do different things. And I was a little bummed, to be honest, about not being able to gather in person this year. I mean, we are a theater conference. It's about getting in a room. But then I quickly realized, as I do with most things in my life that don't go the way I want them to go at first blush,
Hmm.
I realized there are a lot more blessings to things. And one of them is I can connect people all over the world.
Yes. I was just about to say that. It's a much wider audience that you can get online than actual physical people who live out of state or out of the country. Now they can attend as well and get the
Yeah.
benefits of it.
We've always had a big audience from out of New York City and people
Hmm.
that come here for the conference, or out of the country. We've had people come from Germany, South Africa, Japan, Korea, London, of course. So I've been always impressed by that contingent. But this year, what I love about it is it takes away so many hurdles for
Hmm.
people. So
Hmm.
there's no more travel challenges. There's none of the economic challenges that come with travel, which just makes the conference more accessible and more available for people all over the world. So that I'm very excited. And by the way, that's not just for attendees. I was able to invite speakers that we couldn't get before.
Mm.
Right. So like one of the panels I'm most excited about is I have a panel about the update from around the world.
Uh-huh.
I have a very powerful producer from Mexico joining us.
Oh, wow.
I have a producer from representing one of the largest producing organizations in Korea joining us. I have the head of SALT, which is the Society of London Theatres,
Mm.
which is their version of the Broadway League. The
Yes.
head of SALT is joining us to tell us what's going on in London.
Wow.
I would never have been able to do this
Mm.
if it wasn't for our conference being virtual this year. So there are a lot of exciting things that about it this year that I'm thrilled about.
That's incredible. I love hearing that it's expanded so much, and because it's virtual, all the enhancements that you're able to have from it, I think is terrific. So what do you feel this year? Why should people attend, especially this year during the time of the Broadway shutdown, and how will it really, help bring everybody together?
Well, my mission at the conference, or at the summit, I should say, is to educate, motivate, and inspire people to make theater better
Hmm.
and to make better theater. It's that simple.
Hmm.
And by better theater, I don't just mean artistically better.
Hmm.
I mean better in so many ways. I mean better in terms of a better economic model for everybody. I
Hmm.
mean more equal theater, presenting more opportunities for people in the theater. All of the things that we know we've been struggling with recently and for decades in some cases. This conference is about educating, motivating, and inspire people to make more theater and make better theater. So that's one of the reasons to come. And a lot of people have asked me, like, why would I come to a theater conference now?
Hmm.
There has never been a more important time to talk about the theater and how we bring it back and how we
Yes.
bring it back better than before. This is
Yes.
it. We get an opportunity now, like,
Yes.
to make it better.
Hmm.
The slate has been cleaned on a lot of issues. A lot more people are listening and open to change on every different aspect of it, from, again, contract negotiations and deals to all things. Now
Hmm.
is the time for the smartest people who want to do this to get in a room and say, how can we do this and how can we make it better?
Yes.
That's what we've
Because
done.
we also actually have the time now to talk about it and to think about it, and not have to be looking so as quickly to the next thing. I mean, we have to keep looking forward, but we also have the time to take that step back and
That's right.
evaluate all these things.
That's
Uh,
exactly right.
um, so I also want to know, what do you feel like Broadway is going to look like when it reopens, and what do you think of some of the virtual performances that have been happening while we're been during the Broadway shutdown? What do you think will stay? What do you think some changes will be?
Well, streaming is now a thing, right?
Mhm.
It's a
Yeah.
thing. And I knew this was coming back in 2015 when we streamed Daddy Longlegs off Broadway from my theater.
Yes.
And so I saw the reaction to audiences all over the world when they saw that show, which then, is now on Broadway HD now as a result. Uh, and I knew it was coming. Obviously, it was accelerated because of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And look, the streaming theater and the so many different options that are available every single night now are
Mm-hmm.
just such a perfect example of the creativity of theater makers.
Yes.
Like they just were like the passion to make stuff and get it out in the world. All of a sudden, I'm doing this. I'm doing this Zoom room. I couldn't keep up,
Mm-hmm.
which is
I know.
amazing. It's amazing, and again, a testament to the true creativity of the people that do what we do. And no, it's not going away. It won't replace what we do. It will supplement it. We'll
Yes.
find it to be a new marketing channel for us. We'll
Mm-hmm.
find it to be a different monetization channel for artists. I'm telling all my actor friends and writer friends, like, you now have a theater company in your home,
Mm-hmm.
on your desk. Like, you have a theater. You have your own personal theater, and it doesn't cost $20,000 a week to run. Fill it with content and put it out in the world. You will build a following, and that following will follow you to wherever you go in the theater.
Yes. Yes. And some of the productions that I've seen online, I mean, it's very innovative how they filmed it and how it all comes together. And it is, I think it's a whole new world that has opened up for the theater community that, like you said, was starting to come, but now it was the opportunity for it to really like implode and come, really come to the forefront.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time. Someone said to me that it was no coincidence that after the flu epidemic of 1918, Hollywood was born in its ashes, or out
Yes.
of its ashes. And they birthed an entirely new art form. And that's what we're witnessing here. Out of
Yes.
this pandemic, we are birthing an entirely new art form known as streaming theater, and it's going to stick around.
Yes. No, I agree. It will be very exciting when we can all get back together live in person as well.
Yes, yes, it
Definitely looking forward to
will.
that. Yes, yes. It's been quite challenging being away from all our friends, and I mean, it's nice to be able to see everybody on a screen, but it's not the same as getting to be able to be there in person and feeling that energy and the energy of a theater. It's
Yeah, I can't even imagine. So everyone watching, and I'm sure you've done this, think for a moment what it's going to be like to be the first audience in a Broadway theater when that curtain goes up. I mean, I spoke to Rob McClure about this on my live stream, and because I said to him, are you the first person seen in Mrs. Doubtfire? Is the curtain up on you? And he said, yes. And I could see already in his eyes, he was imagining that moment when he's going to be standing on stage and the curtain goes up. I said, you better just tell your wife that you're not going to make it back to Philly until 8 a.m. because that ovation is going to go on for an hour. I mean, people are going to be bawling their eyes out. It's going to be the most exciting thing could be ever to happen in a theater. So I've been joking to some of my producer friends that have shows running right now is that put your tickets on sale for the very first show, even if you don't know when it is, because people will buy that first show and will make it there because it's going to be something special.
Yes, definitely. It's like in hindsight, I look back at the last show I saw right before the shutdown, and it was the part 2 of The Inheritance. I mean, I saw it that Wednesday night, Broadway shut down that Thursday, and I've held on to that feeling of how grateful I was that I was able to be there for that night. And the excitement and the enthusiasm that's going to be there that first night when live theater comes back and Broadway comes back it's going to be electric.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait.
How do you think you're going to produce theater in this new world?
Well, I have a number of shows in development. So from Harmony that was supposed to debut at the National Yiddish Theater Folks Band, the Barry Manilow musical, to a Neil Diamond musical, to Joy, which is based on the life of Joy Mangano, who's the subject of the movie Joy, to Broadway Vacation, the next installment in the Vacation movie franchise. And I've been developing these shows all during this time, and I'm super excited to get back to that. I mean, just like you say, I can't wait to get in a rehearsal room again. And so it will be different, exciting, we'll have different challenges for sure. But I do believe that what audiences are going to want when they come back are something that's why musical theater specifically was created, to take our mind a little off what we've been through. So I'm looking to produce a lot of musicals that provide a lot of joy and heart and inspiration and some good old-fashioned laughs and smiles as well.
Well, that's going to be great. I mean, if there's anybody that can take your mind off of anything, it's definitely the music of Barry Manilow and Neil Diamond. I mean,
it is true.
I'm so excited for that. Now, in working on these productions, have you thought about any changes that you might want to make to how you're producing it with some of the new technology that we've seen during the pandemic? Or are you strictly for these projects, you're going full-fledged, like it's going to be live theater?
Yeah, it's all going to be live theater. We have talked about how we market them a little differently because now we have this streaming theater platform. Would something debut online before it goes live? I don't know. Could we do something unique? Not sure. The economics will change a little bit. We have to be a little careful when we get back, when we wade back into the water.
Yeah.
I do believe we're going to have a quick recovery, but it's not going to be an immediate recovery. So we need to make sure that we're set up economically with a business model that makes sense for the new age. We're going to have a whole new host of expenses. So we're going to have to watch that very specifically. And there may be shows may be shorter, right? Shows may be shorter. There may be less people involved just because of everyone's concern, et cetera, when we come back about maintaining these protocols, even if there's a vaccine and we're all fine. This feeling is not going to go away.
Yes.
You know, we could get a vaccine tomorrow and instantly inoculate the entire world. And I guarantee you, people are going to be still washing their hands and using hand sanitizer for some time to come.
Yeah.
That's not going away. So we have to adopt to that feeling among our theater goers as well.
What kind of business model do you think financially would make sense coming back? I mean, what changes do you think there should be made?
It's hard to say right now. I think we're all looking at that. Again, you might see shows shrink, right? You might see a desire to, and I mean that in terms of length as well, right? Someone said to me, maybe we'll only have one-act shows because that way people won't have to use the restroom during intermission and we won't have to worry about socially distancing or the bathroom line. And I laughed. But I was like, wow, that actually does solve one of what I know is one of the biggest concerns that we have.
Yes.
It's like, we may be able to socially distance a theater. How do you socially distance the bathroom line at the Hirschfeld or the Broadhurst or like, those are tight quarters, tight quarters. So it's going to be interesting.
And do you think there could be anything done with ticket prices to make ticket prices more affordable for people?
Yeah, look, I think you will see there's no question that Broadway just went through its gold rush period, and that gold rush is now over. And a lot of shows ratcheted up their ticket price to take advantage of the incredible demand. And that is not, some people may say that's greedy. It's not greedy. It's taking a look at what the market will bear for something, and trying to make sure you can keep paying people what they need to be paid, et cetera. Business.
Yeah.
Now the scales are tipped the other direction, which is very exciting from an audience development perspective, because we will not have the same attendance we had when we come back, which means there are going to be more empty seats, which means we have more of an opportunity to reduce prices or give tickets away to certain groups of people, students, and others that may not have been given the opportunity or even thought about going to a Broadway show before. So there's a lot of things that we can do, I believe, that will help the theater in the long run. It's going to be short-term pain, but could be a very long-term benefit for us.
Yes, I think those sound like great ideas, because it would be great to make theater more accessible to everybody. Because I know, I mean, before the shutdown, a lot of people would say to me, it's so expensive. It's so expensive, and it's not something that's as accessible to them now as in years past. So
yeah. Now I will say this little caveat, because we hear that a lot, and Hal Prince himself used to say, theater tickets have always been expensive. People have always been complaining about how the cost of theater tickets.
Yeah.
And usually when I hear people say theater tickets are expensive, I say, give me an example. And they say, well, Hamilton is $800. And I go, okay, you're talking about the Louis Vuitton of the theater.
Yes.
That will always be expensive. It is the most in-demand, highest quality event that we're offering. It will always be more expensive. But then I say, have you been on TDF lately? Because there's a whole slew of Broadway shows that may be available for $37 or $50. Usually it's the theater the person wants to see is so expensive, not theater is so expensive. And because that's the other thing. Oh, theater tickets are no. Broadway tickets are expensive. Right. I could get some with theater tickets off Broadway for $10, $5, $20. Pay what you can. Again, is it theater is so expensive, or is it the theater the person wants to see? And if that that's what it is. If it's the person who wants to see, it's because there's lots of people who want to see it.
Right.
Right?
That's a good point to bring up and a good
It's
distinction to bring.
it's like a flight at Thanksgiving or Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
We all hate it that it's so expensive to fly at those peak travel times.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because there are a whole lot of people that want to do the same thing.
Right. Again, the demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And my last question, just to bring it back to the TheaterMakers Summit, if you could give one reason why somebody should attend the TheaterMakers Summit, what would that be?
Because they love the theater and they care about its future. That's simple. Whether you're a writer who wants to get a show off the ground and off Broadway, on Broadway at your high school theater, this place it's the place for you. Whether you're a director, whether you're an actor, whether you're a fan, this conference is the place for you. This is what's becoming, I believe, the largest gathering of theater makers online.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you care about the theater, if you love the theater, if you want to learn more about the theater, I don't think there's a better place that pulls together and gathers all the different disciplines in one place. And there's one thing that everyone will have in common there. One thing, everybody in that virtual room will love the theater and want it to not only survive the next 100 years, but thrive over the next 100 years.
Yes, that's terrific. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. Everybody watching and post-watching, do get your tickets to the TheaterMakers Summit. It's November 14th through 16th, and I'll have the ticket link on my website at callmeadam.com. Ken, thank you so much.
My
And
pleasure.
we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yes. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you there.